Creating formations. We'll now move on to creating our own formations. This is a relatively simple task that helps us to no end when building out the meat and potatoes of the timetable. We need to go into the formations folder we created earlier in this tutorial and create two new folders. The first will be called locos and the second coaching stock. I prepared these earlier. We will now go into the locos folder, right click, select miscellaneous, data asset, search for train, and it brings up train formation. Select train formation and we will call this new asset demo 01 class 09. I put underscores between each section because it helps with file searching. Hit Ctrl S to save it and then double click to open it. This file looks formidable to start with, but we're only really here for the sake of this tutorial interested in two sections. The first is the formation section, where we'll add an array element. The second is at the bottom of the file called required DLC plugins. Everything else is mainly for when creating formations in timetable mode, except for cargo loaded, which will be covered at a later date. The first thing you'll want to do is click the plus button in the formation line. This is where we add an array element. We now click the drop down arrow by formation to see that we have a 0. Expand this 0. We now want to search for the RVD we're going to use, which in our case is the West Somerset Railway Class 09. Click the drop down, search for RVD underscore WSR, and at the top of the list is the Class 09. We select that. We do not, for the sake of this tutorial, need to cover anything else in this section, so we'll click the arrow by the formation to minimize it. At the bottom of the screen is the required DLC plugins list. You have 0 array elements. Click the plus button. In the box that's just appeared, we are going to type in WSR all capitals underscore class 09. Note that class is the C in class is uppercase. To find out what to put here, you look at the name of the base content manifest folder for the DLC we are using. In this case, the folder is called WSR underscore class 09. We can save this file now and go away from it. We're now putting the coaching stock. The process is much the same as with the class 09, although since we're using multiple RVDs, I feel the need to show you how this is done. Go back to formations, open the coaching stock folder, right click, select miscellaneous, select data asset, and once again select train formation. We will call this file demo 01 coaching stock x5. I will hit Ctrl S to save it. To be noted, formations, whether coaching stock, wagons or locomotives, will always be a train formation file. Following what we did for the class 09, we're going to create a coaching stock formation. First, add an array element, as we did before. Click the 0 drop down. This time, search for RVD WSR MK1 or underscore and select the TSO. You could use the caramel and cream TSO if you wanted to. We're going to use the standard TSO. We are now going to close this element down, so close the 0. And I'm going to come over and see where it says RVD WSR Mark 1 TSO. Click the drop down arrow and click duplicate. This produces a second carriage. We're now going to add another array element. We'll expand this and we're going to search for the BSO. So that's RVD underscore WSR underscore MK1 and we want the BSO. We now add another array element, and this is just going to be a duplicate of the first one. The reason we don't duplicate here is because it would duplicate underneath, and I want to set it up as a proper West Somerset Railway formation. We have 2 carriages, brake coach, 2 carriages. So what we'll do is, again, RBD underscore WSR underscore MK1. Sorry for going so fast there. And you will select the TSO again. Again, close that down. Select the drop down arrow and duplicate it. This should leave us with a formation of 5 coaches. We will now go down to the required DLC plugins, hit the add element, and we will type in WSR underscore MK1, as that is the name of the folder. We can save this file. If we wanted to create a formation of 7 coaches, we close this formation down, go back to our map, select the formation we made, Control C, Control V, click on it, press F2 to rename it, and instead of X5, we'd have X7. Double click to open that file, and where you've got element 1, we can duplicate another TSO in there, and where you've got element 5 now, duplicate another element in there, and save that, and voila, we now have 7 array elements. It is important to note that arrays start at 0. This will be especially important when we cover adding text, dialogue, and extra objectives at a later date.